Agree or disagree time here, Christopher. Let's begin with your San Francisco 49ers, or more accurately, the team that is coached by your good friend Kyle Shanahan. Here he is on their current plan for handling rookie quarterback Trey Lance, in whom they invested 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick.
We didn't draft Trey to just fix this year. We drafted him so he could be the quarterback here of the future, and I get that's a matter of time. But we're not playing him just because of what our record is or just because of that. So that's why our first thing in our discussions is how healthy is he and how's he going to look today. But just because of how our last 4 games have gone, that doesn't really affect on whether we're playing Trey or not right now.
I don't know if I'm reading too much into what he said. We didn't draft him for just this year, but to be the quarterback of the future. I think more accurately, and I don't know how specific and precise Kyle is with his words at press conferences. Sometimes I don't think he is, and sometimes I think that creates problems for him.
Right.
But you can interpret that response as suggesting that they were kind of hoping he'd kind of step in and figure it out sooner than he has. There's a lot of 49ers fans out there saying, "Oh, he was drafted to be the guy 2 or 3 years from now." Well, but they wanted an upgrade to Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And if we take his words literally, then they did have an eye toward him playing this year, and it just hasn't worked out yet.
Listen, I agree with his comment. I do. They did draft Trey Lance so he could be the QB of the future, but I think it could be both here a little bit to what you're talking about. Yeah. I think there was a legitimate feel and hope that he could take over and could be ready. And, I think we talked about it in the preseason. I think it was that Chargers preseason game where I think we both felt Jimmy Garoppolo threw an interception, and I in my heart of hearts feel like, you take him out after the interception? Oh, yeah, great. What a bad taste you leave in his mouth. And it was almost like, let's get him in there. Now's our chance to let him shine, and maybe he can take the reins of this. And, of course, it was a little all over the place. It was more than all over the place. So, I'm with you in the fact that, I do think there was a hope this year that he could maybe establish or take over the show here. But I do think ultimately the main thing was to have him as the quarterback of the future. So I do agree with that, at least that what we're showing here in the bottom of the screen.
The future's just looking a little bit shaky in San Francisco now. And Peter King mentioned the other day that they're 8 games under 500, Shanahan and John Lynch, even with that phenomenal 2019 season.
Yeah.
8 games under 500. I'm saying it now, and I like John Lynch, and I respect what he did as a player, and they got off to a great start. But they've made some bad decisions with some of their draft picks. They've made some bad decisions at quarterback, and I won't be surprised if there's a new GM next year. I won't be surprised at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I know everybody thinks I got all these answers about San Francisco and I got inside info. I don't. I do know this. I know Kyle has tremendous respect for John Lynch, and John Lynch, of course, has done some good things. And I don't know where that relationship or how they divvy up the work. I don't know. I really don't. We know, ultimately Shanahan is the GM. He makes the call on everything. So, again, I guess it's going to be, about does he feel like John Lynch is doing his part, supporting him, supplying him with the right information, asking the right questions. Yeah, I don't have the answers to all of that. All I can tell you is, I think John's pretty damn good, has a good feel of the game. And from everything I've ever seen interacting with both of them, there's tremendous respect from both sides with both of them. I never feel like with Mayock and Gruden, right? We felt like, there's tension. And then, of course, we heard some rumors. I've never gotten that feel with Shanahan or Lynch, nor have I ever heard any of those rumors. So we'll see. But, yes, definitely the pressure has certainly been turned up a notch here over the last few weeks in San Francisco.
And I don't think Shanahan's the kind of guy who sends off that vibe of constant irritation. It's a different vibe from him altogether than John Gruden.
Yeah.
And I could see them getting to the end of the season and having a get-together where they decide that changes need to be made. And again, I still think there's somebody in the organization that prevails on Kyle to choose to do things that maybe he otherwise didn't want to do, whether it's going for Jimmy Garoppolo instead of waiting for Kirk Cousins, or whether it's taking Trey Lance instead of Mac Jones. Somebody in there is able to steer him in the way that they want him to be steered and make him think that's where he wants to go. The 49ers are not the only team that has struggled in recent years at quarterback. The Denver Broncos have been searching and hoping and looking and trying and failing to find a long-term answer. Teddy Bridgewater, still the starter. Here he is discussing where things currently stand and whether the panic button should be pressed for the 3-4 Broncos.
You can sense, like, man, it's no panic. I said this to the guy yesterday. I'm like, man, hey, we got to have a sense of urgency. It's not time to panic, but it almost is because, this thing can go in the wrong direction fast.
Yeah, look, when you start 3-0 and you lose 4 in a row, you feel like you're in quicksand.
Yeah.
And you need to get out of it desperately. They have a chance this weekend against Washington. Washington's 2-5, and I feel like there's still so much dysfunction in that organization. What did Joe Judge say last week? The fish stinks from the head down.
Yeah.
Well, the head of the fish is still there. I don't care how many changes they've made to the gills and the scales and the fins. The head of the fish is still there in Washington, and it's still stinking from the head down. And the team is a major disappointment this year. So the Broncos get a chance to get a win this weekend. But hey, Teddy understands, and there was some talk last Thursday night coming out of the first half. Maybe they were going to put Drew Lock in.
I'm surprised there hasn't been more talk
on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Well, he got a chance to play in the second half of that Ravens game, and he didn't play well. If he'd played well then, maybe he'd already be in now.
Well, I know. I mean, oh, great. He gets to get thrown out there in the Ravens when they're getting the buzz. I know you are. I'm not trying to get mad at you. I'm just talking to
But
broader.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I hear you. It's a tough situation. I mean, that's just tough. Oh, yeah, you haven't taken first-team reps or done anything in a month, but now we want you to go in the Ravens game and save it. Like, oh, okay, great. Thanks, coach. That's where it's tough as a backup quarterback. To me, it is panic time in Denver, for sure. I mean, it's gotten there. The defense is incredibly banged up, as we know. They got injuries there, and then the offense, there's a few weapons missing, certainly, but there's still enough weapons to go around to be a little bit more impressive than what they've been. And that's to me where, again, I don't know how long, they'll wait or what it's going to take. Last week, you just get into that game itself. Okay, great. At the end of the day, like, they got it going in the second half, but that's a little bit of the MO of Teddy Bridgewater. It's like, oh, he starts to press the issue when they're down 20, and it's like, wait, the game's over now, buddy. Like, I don't know what to tell you, And then, of course, we made him the quarterback so he doesn't make mistakes, but yet he's making mistakes everywhere. He's missing wide-open receivers. The interception he threw in the game last week, it's a slam-dunk touchdown pass for like 25 out of the 32 starting quarterbacks in football. Instead, it becomes an egregious interception. So a lot of plays being left on the field the last few weeks. This was my concern, before the year with Teddy Bridgewater, and I don't think he's taking advantage of all that's there to be had. I know it's not perfect, and he's getting beat up and hit a little bit, all of that. I understand that. But to me, this has got to be about the last straw. If he doesn't play well this week, they got to make a move because they got to get somebody in there that can make some plays off schedule and take advantage of some of the plays that have been there down the field. And that's where I always thought Drew Lock had a little bit of an advantage.
So do you agree or disagree that it's not time to panic yet, but the time to panic is coming?
Let's see. I guess I agree. I guess I want to say no. I disagree. It's time to panic. Like, it's go time. Like, you got to come out, on fire this week. We can't let's feel the game out and we'll step on the gas pedal when things get dangerous. No. A lot of the times when they've been doing that lately, it's too late. It's like the game's over and it's way too big of a hill to climb at this point. So I guess I'm disagreeing because it's time to panic right now.
I agree. And look, it's weird, Chris, to see the Broncos trading for help, becoming buyers at the trade deadline. That it's just odd because you have a GM who's there for 6 years or as long as he can last in 6 years, and a head coach who's going to be gone, let's face it, if they don't make it the playoffs this year, because George Payton did not roll through the door saying, hey, Vic Fangio, hey, this is the guy who's at the top of my list of the coaches I've been carrying around in my pocket that I'm going to hire when I become a GM. He knows who he wants to bring in and run the team, or at least has a list of candidates, and I doubt Vic Fangio's on them. And maybe maybe Peyton is trying to be fair to Fangio and give him everything he needs to try to turn this season around.
I think so.
And try to get to 9-8. I don't think they've had a winning season since they won the Super Bowl. So it's just odd. It's just odd to me that they're buyers when, if anything, they should be sellers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I definitely, raised my eyebrows a little bit to go, whoa, okay. I mean, yeah, I think you laid it out perfectly. Yeah, I mean, they're at the point here where, I know they're still in this thing, so they're giving it a go. But, yeah, you're going to go all in for a guy in Vic Fangio to save his butt, but maybe burn your own butt the next 2 or 3 years down the road with trading away assets to make it happen right here. And, yeah, that's where it's a tough decision, and, they're making millions of dollars, so they can figure it out.
Well, and the other thing that's looming for the Broncos, they're going to have a new owner next year, barring some sort of an unexpected agreement among the Bolin family to buy out the folks who don't want to be involved anymore, somehow get them market value for their shares and move on with a smaller group of Bolins running the show, which I think is unlikely. Somebody's going to buy that team, and then everything potentially changes for the Denver Broncos, and plenty of Broncos fans are probably looking forward to that based upon how things have been since they won Super Bowl 50. Last one, Arthur Smith, Falcons head coach. They've had 6 games together. Arthur Smith and quarterback Matt Ryan. Here's Smith on his belief that Ryan is underrated.
You got to have the right mindset, and you got to have some courage, and especially at the quarterback position. And he does. He's a special player. I personally think he's criminally underrated if you look at his career here in the National Football League.
Do you agree or disagree, Christopher David Simms, that Matt Ryan is criminally underrated?
I understand the point he's trying to make. I'm going to disagree, though. I am. I mean, again, hey, listen, this guy, he's a legend of the sport. There's no doubt about that. I'm not ready to say he's a Hall of Famer in any way, that way. He's had tremendous support around him on the offensive side of the ball since get-go. I mean, he took over a team that was really good but fell in the gutter because of the Michael Vick dog issue and that, to where they were set up for success. They were ballers from get-go. To me, where I'll always get into it a little bit is just, playoffs. He's lost a lot of games to teams where he was on the better team and they lost. That, to me, he's missing marquee wins in big situations. I think that's where, legend, but can't sit there and say all-time great. And damn, I mean, I know he's done a lot of good stuff. I'm not trying to, disrespect that. But if we're trying to put him on the level of, the great quarterbacks of this era, as far as Rodgers, Russell Wilson, of course, the Bradys, anybody else you want to mention in that category, no, I don't think he's on their level. He's playing really good football right now, but, I mean, even though he's playing really good football, he's not a top 10 quarterback right now in football. There's some damn good quarterbacks in football right now. He's not a top 10 quarterback. He's real good. But is he better than Kyler, Brady, Rodgers, Dak, Stafford, Russell Wilson, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Herbert, Derek Carr, Mahomes? No, he's not. So that's where I guess I would disagree a little bit as far as right now. I understand the point he's trying to make. Maybe he doesn't always get the credit quite deserves, but I'm going to disagree with that. I don't think he's criminally underrated.
But that's the point, too. If you identify guys in isolation as top 10 quarterbacks and then take all the guys that you identified as top 10 quarterbacks, you will have 20 of them. There are that many good quarterbacks right now.
No doubt.
And, just kind of like how Russell Wilson slipped down your top 40 list this year a little bit because there are younger guys coming in who are better than him.
Right.
That's going to happen.
Yes.
All right. First of all, is it from get-go or is it from the get-go? I thought it was from the get-go.
Well, I just cut out a word. I'm trying to make it quicker.
You did it twice.
I don't know.
I let the first one go, but then you did it again, and I'm thinking, does he think it's the phrase is from get-go? I don't think it's from get-go.
No, it probably is not. I mean, what are you? Of course. I mean, if you got to guess, I probably said it wrong. You know that.
Last one for you, and then we got to take a break.
All right.
You got something else on get-go?
No, I was going to ask you.
Before we get going?
You're with me on that conversation, though, with the Matt Ryan thing?
I agree that we disagree. I agree to disagree with Arthur Smith that he's not criminally underrated. He's properly rated.
Right.
Matt Ryan, is he top 10 all-time in career passing yardage, yes or no?
Yes, he is. He is. I think he's like 7 or 8, right? Is that?
He's 8.
Yeah, right.
He's 8.
Yeah.
57,435, and he has 5,000 more, let's say 4,500 more than Aaron Rodgers,
right.
And they both became starters the same year,
yeah.
2008. Now,
right.
Ryan walked right in 2008. Rodgers sat for 3 years, but they both became starters the same year.
Yeah, that's right. And, I mean, again, I'll sit here and argue and go, Matt Ryan's had way more talent around him on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, that's the one thing he didn't beat Rodgers in is, I don't think he got to 40,000 yards as quickly, and he definitely didn't get to 300 or 400 touchdowns as quickly. I mean, Rodgers scores touchdowns. Matt Ryan gets first downs. That to me is the difference right there. That's great. Rodgers gets inside the red zone. It's laser beams, touchdown. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, you're the greatest I've ever seen. Matt Ryan, it's like, how come they can't get Julio Jones a touchdown catch in the red zone? So there's a difference there. I don't think we'd have that problem if Rodgers was playing with Julio Jones. All right, that would not be happening. So yeah, and again, stats of this era, come on, they're all going to be blown out of proportion. They got a lot of things going for them in this era. First off, the quarterback to coach, the coach to quarterback communication, the allowance of getting 3 plays in a quarterback's ear is a great advantage for offensive football in this era. People forget about that. Yeah, back in Joe Montana's day, he had to sit there and watch Bill Walsh give signals and do this, and it was like, okay, he wants me to run to the right. Okay, that's the play we're running. Now they can go call 7 different plays. You're never wrong. Sean McVay's talking to Jared Goff as he's at the line of scrimmage. And then, of course, all the rules for the offense. And then the quarterback he's not allowed to get hit in any game anymore. So all of those things are going to add to huge numbers in this league right now.
I'm just trying to do some math here on whether or not Matt Ryan with 57,435 has a chance to get into 71,000 territory and pass Brett Favre and Peyton Manning before he's done. Depends on how many years he's able to play, how many years he wants to play.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.